um, it really kind of speaks to where we're at this year, where there's so much that is out of our control, that our faith just gives us strength that we know we're in God's hands. So we'll begin in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. O God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right. I surrender to your will so that I may be happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. All right. So welcome everybody. When we sat down and talked as a middle school group about how to present this evening, we originally had kind of thought about doing a 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade presentation, but came to the conclusion that it would take too long to do all 3 different presentations. So we did change it to a middle school presentation. So we hope everybody caught that change. And if somebody's asking about it and didn't catch it, like I said, we'll record it and we will send it out to everybody tomorrow, just in case there was people that didn't catch the change.
Hey, Kay, just a heads up, there's people waiting in the lobby and all that kind of stuff, or whatever it's called for Google Meets. Like, we've gotten like 5 texts, so I don't know who's letting those people in. But
Lynn Fink is she Lynn, can you talk to me, Lynn? I don't know if you're muted. She just left the meeting. Great. Okay, Lynn Fink has to leave people in. We'll wait for her to come back in. Maybe she's having some problems. Okay. I had gotten kicked out just a minute ago. Perhaps there are problems. Okay, perhaps. Bummer. Well, this is the last one we're doing, and I've done all the way from early childhood through middle school. We've been successful up to this point, so I'm hoping we can get through this one yet without any technical issues going on. But it does look like people are coming and going, which means I think they may be getting kicked out. And I don't see Lynn back in the chat yet.
this is probably all the people that had been on, maybe not. I was going to say on other ones, but
yeah. Okay, so I see Lynn back. Lynn, are you back on? Lynn Fink? Can you unmute? Lynn, are you having difficulty getting people on connected? Lynn, you're on mute. Can you talk to me? Can you hear me? Lynn, are you having problems getting
my machine locked up for a second?
Okay. Are you having problems letting people in?
My machine locked up for a minute with a couple of them going on, so.
Okay. Do you have everybody in from the lobby?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome if you weren't here at the very beginning, and I apologize for the technical issues we might be having. We'll just get started right away since we spun our wheels a little bit at the beginning. So each teacher is going to give a brief description of what they're doing in their subject areas, what their expectations are, what their grading policies are. And then if you have any questions at the end, you can ask away, and a question you have probably means somebody else has the same question. So we would appreciate you putting it on the floor. So who is beginning tonight? Okay, Samantha?
Would be me, yes.
All right.
I'm Sam Skifton. I do middle school language arts, and the language arts portion is the grammar and the writing, so all the nitty-gritty of English. So this year I am still utilizing DOL, which for those who haven't had it is daily oral language. I did use it last year, so the 7th and 8th graders are very familiar with it. 6th grade has been learning it so far this year, and it's taking 2 sentences that there are punctuation errors, spelling errors, words are misplaced or completely removed from a sentence, and they are trying to fix it. We've been doing that virtually. I've been trying that this year to see how that works with their typing skills. We also I requested 2 notebooks this year. So your first one is the spiral notebook for the kids. That's where they've been taking all their notes on terms and definitions and rules to remember for grammar. And then their composition notebook I've been using for journaling. So we've been trying to take them outside when it's nice and just write about any prompt that I give them, or do some creative writing, how they're doing for the day, anything like that. So I could keep those 2 separated. Then over the school year, each trimester, they're going to have 1 major essay for me. And they do 2 drafts of the essay first that I will edit with them. And I'm going to try some peer editing online to see how that works this year. And then once they've got that 3rd and final draft, it's nice and polished for them to turn in. That is the only thing this year for me that they cannot do corrections for, because they've already had essentially 2 rounds of correcting it and polishing it. For grading, I grade homework on participation. A lot of times it's just in-class work, and if they don't finish it, then it just goes home for homework, but I try to give in-class work time if I can. That's mostly participation with the DOL and any writing prompts. The essays are more rubric-based, where we try to follow the 8 traits of writing. Let's see. Office hours for me, I like to be available in the morning and the early evening. Early evening is when I am most available and most respondent to emails. So if you need me, emailing is probably the fastest way to get to me. If you do email me throughout the day, I will see it before the end of the day and will try to respond by then. Okay, is there anything else I should cover for my list?
Does anybody have any questions for Samantha?
This is Albert Miller. For the 6th graders, do we need to do volunteer hours this year, as they've had in the past?
Volunteer hours you're asking about?
For the kids? Well, I guess kids and parents.
We will not be doing volunteer hours. That's going to be too difficult because of the climate. So we were looking at possible ways to give kids opportunities to do service through school or something. So we're going to try to, make that a priority for them, to know that that should be a priority in their life, that they should be going and reaching out and doing things for others, but it's not going to be required.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other English type questions?
I did forget to mention I'm going to be putting the syllabus on Classroom. So you will be able to see it, and each grade will have their essays for the year listed out.
Okay. They're major writing pieces?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. All right. Next up.
I think that's me, the math person. I'm Brenda, and last name Tuchinski here. We organize class every day, by when they get here. We usually have a short quiz on the information that they did the night before. And we always have some mental math where we do mind gymnastics. I read problems and they try to do them in their head so that they get their skills better doing things in their head. And then we always do a new lesson, explain new information. And then we always have an exit slip, which they do problems that we just learned. And then I help them with them. So those are due every day. And then every week I've been putting in like a daily participation. They have homework every night. But I put a daily work grade, and every day they can earn 5 to 10 points in class depending on what we did. And then I put in, I think you'll notice in the grade book, anywhere from 10 to 30 points for the week, because then I put them all together in a week. So that's the first grade they get every week. They get a classwork. That's how I have it labeled, classwork from date to date. And then we'll have quizzes and tests. The first test in most classes is either tomorrow or coming up this week. Now for daily work and stuff, a lot of it is what they turn in. But quizzes and tests, they can do corrections and they can earn half the points back. So if they have a test worth 100 points and let's say they do poorly, they got a 60 on it, they can earn half those points back and get an 80 on it. Okay, so they can always earn half the points back. I do have extra credit. After every test, I give them an opportunity to get extra credit. The extra credit is usually 1 to 5 points. And then I keep track of it all for the trimester. And then at the end of the trimester, I put all their extra credit in, which makes everybody happy because their grade goes up. I also keep each child keeps a notebook. In 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I'm doing an interactive notebook, which they have little flaps that they do problems with. And so far, I think the kids really enjoy those interactive notebooks. Algebra and Algebra 2, they actually take the notes, and they've been doing an excellent job on that. So quizzes, I let them use those notebooks on the quizzes up to 50 points. But if it's a 50-point quiz or more, then they are not able to use their notes. And then on the test, they don't use their notes either. Most of them, we're doing a lot of exponents, a lot of factoring, a lot of algebraic expressions, areas. Most of the classes, especially Algebra and Algebra 2, we've been doing a lot of reviewing and going over things they might have missed. They've been doing a pretty good job at that. I think that just about covers it, because I will grade their notebooks. So the notebooks are worth 80 points each trimester. And it's graded on a rubric. So I'm hoping all the kids get those points because they've been doing a really good job keeping up on everything.
Does anyone have math questions for Mrs. Tushinsky?
Nope, but thanks for all the work you're doing and welcome. And the kids,
Oh, thank you.
Our girls have given awesome feedback. So thanks for everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, then our next person.
Me. All right. Hi, everybody. Jackie Crown. And this year, I'm not going to start talking about Spanish. I'm going to talk about 6th grade reading. I had the opportunity to jump into this role this year with 6th graders, and crazy excited. I do have a double major in English and Spanish, so I'm qualified to do this. So I'm going to start talking about that. We have already been doing some work with vocabulary. We're going to be building our vocabulary, and not just spelling tests, but how is this used in a sentence? What's the definition, the different connotations with the words? The way it works is we have 20 words to choose from. I choose the 10 that I feel that everybody really needs to know, and then they get to choose 5 of the others from the remaining 10. So that's how we'll be going about. Every 2 weeks, we'll get a new list. We will be reading novels this year. We are also going to focus on reading for content and for purpose, as they've been doing all along, just stretching that out some more. So I absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun. And now I'm going to transition to Spanish. Sixth grade Spanish is really going to be taking a big jump from fifth grade. Expectations are much more significant. I give homework. I'm going to take as much of that class time to talk and teach and get the kids talking as I can. So I'll explain the homework, but they're doing it at night. We are going to have more assessments. We're going to have vocabulary assessments and then content assessments. We're also going to have assessments in the form of show me what you can do with it, because it's not just about learning how to write, it's about communicating. So that's also a really big point this year. And moving forward, that goes for 7th and 8th grade as well. But 6th grade is a big transition. They have to study, okay? I'm also really working with 6th grade right now on teaching them, again, how to be successful learners. We've had this big break off, and I think for the 6th grade especially, making the jump to the middle school concept. So one of the things that even as parents, I hope that maybe you can be doing this as well as you notice it, as kids are coming to me with questions, I'm stopping to say, how can you problem solve that? Really trying to break them of the habit of just ask before you even try to figure it out yourself. Really working on that. Going a little bit slower in the start of the school year, because when I start to talk, I wait for every kid in the class to be quiet before I go, you know, waiting for that eye contact, working on that, teaching them that as a learner, you have to be looking at me like all in. And just with following directions, so many kids are asking over and over, what, because they're not in the moment with me. So we're practicing that a lot right now. For all the grades, I really bring faith in whenever I can, whether or not it has to do with exactly what we're learning. It might be about something that happened in the day or in the news. So I want you to know that I really try to live that with the kids. The way we're structured this year, we started last year, Mrs. Franz had this idea, and it's the most beautiful thing ever, where 6th grade right now is meeting 4 days a week for the first half of the year, and we are able to accomplish so much more. And this 6th grade class is eating it up. 7th grade will be 4 times a week for the second half of the year. And then 8th grade is 4 days a week for the whole year. And now I'm just going to talk real quick about 8th grade. Oh my gosh, I have been waiting for this group to get them in this type of a context where we get so much time together, because god darn it, our time got cut short last year, and now we are rocking and rolling. So it is a ton of fun. We've already had some assessments. I'm getting them in. Lastly, if anybody needs to get a hold of me, email. There is little chance I'm going to see it during the day, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if something happens that perhaps I forget, just a kind reminder would be a nice thing. But I really will get back to you as soon as I can. And I think that's it. Any questions for me? Thank you.
All right, Jane. Our next presenter.
I think that's me.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Ritter. I teach middle school social studies, and this year I'm also teaching 7th grade reading. So let's talk about what curriculum is for social studies at Father Alloway. For 6th grade, we learn about ancient world history. That goes from prehistory, so from prehistory to the river valley civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, India. We talk about ancient Israel, ancient Greece, and Rome, and then finish the year in medieval Europe up to the Renaissance. 7th grade is U.S. History 1, and 8th grade U.S. History 2. However, this year, both 7th and 8th grade are getting U.S. History 1, which is the pre-Columbian era up to the Civil War. And some of the things that that covers is Native American civilizations. That's what we're working on right now. Colonization, the Revolutionary War, the founding of the nation, westward expansion, causes of the Civil War up to the Civil War itself. Let me just talk briefly about reading and then some things that's just general about all of my classes. So reading this year, we'll be utilizing different platforms and different ways to learn. A couple of those are ReadWorks. We're using a vocabulary platform. Reading in the content area with Scholastic Student News. I have Time Magazine for kids. We will be utilizing our literature textbook and reading some novels as well. For the time being, our library access, because the sixth grade is in the library, we'll be accessing the online catalog from Brown County Library. My class actually just did this for the first time today, and I'm working with Brown County Library on 2 pilot programs that they are implementing this school year. So you'll probably hear more about those later. For grading, I follow a basic grading scale. A is 93 to 100, B is 85 to 92, C is 77 to 84, and a D is 69 to 76, and not passing is 68 below. I would say that grading in my classes are an even split between classwork and quizzes, projects, and test grades. Classwork is given more often than homework. When classwork is not finished in class, that's when it becomes homework. Due dates are always given out when the assignment's given, and I will be following the Father Alloway late assignment policy. Most assignments will be available and completed on Google Classroom. So even if I hand out a paper copy of something, it will always be on Google Classroom. And I've found that to be very handy so far with students who are absent for a day or two, and it will continue to be my policy. A big thing in social studies is notes, taking notes and using our notes. So I've chosen to utilize fill in the blank notes for all of our social studies classes. I believe that this models how, in quotes, good note taking should be done, while not spending too much time in class writing pages and pages. I've been printing out the note packets for students who go through my Google Slides presentation for the chapter we're working on. Then I'll lecture about the material when students are finished taking their notes. Just a couple more things, talking about the textbook. This year it's pretty exciting because for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we have new textbooks. They are all online. So that has been something new to get used to, but they are truly fantastic resources. There's so much available with the online textbook. Students are able to access the online textbook both from their school Chromebook and at home with their account. I am reading or assigning readings on a regular basis. 2 more things, assignment notebook. Students should be writing any homework assignments in their assignment notebook. But in addition, everything we do in class is posted on Google Classroom, like I just said. And then my last bit is I'm available before school for any help at 7:15 or after school from 3:15 until 3:45. You can always send me an email, but I understand that's not always possible. And then in class and outside of class, I always encourage questions before, during, and after class, because questions lead to discussion, which leads to high quality learning opportunities for both students and teacher. And with that, I'm looking forward to another great year. Thank you very much.
Questions for Brian? All right, then we're on to Mr. Walsh.
All right, so I'm Andrew Walsh. For this year, I am doing the middle school science and 7th grade reading and 8th grade reading. So I am partnering up with Mr. Ritter with the reading. We are doing daily bell ringers that tie into reading, looking at quotes of the day and videos where they're reading, watching the video and writing prompts to that. Currently for reading, we are working on figurative language, and we will be using that throughout the year into and using a variety of other reading materials. For science, 6th grade science is physical science. So we're talking about motion and speed, and we'll get into the atoms and elements. 7th grade science is life science. So we're gonna spend a lot of time learning about the cells and what makes a cell. For 8th grade is earth science. So we're talking about the universe now, and then so we're starting in the sky, and then we'll work our way all the way down to the core of the earth. 8th grade reading, again, doing a bell ringer in the morning as first activity. And then we will again be using a variety of book studies to throughout the year. As far as my grading goes, classroom participation is huge for me. The students for science will have a study guide that they'll complete, those weekly quizzes or lesson quizzes, and then also trying to fit as many labs in as possible for each week. I try to get activity that goes with the content. Most of the work is done in class. Occasionally there'll be projects that they'll be required to do. After each assessment, they will have opportunities to make corrections. Most of that is in a form of doing some kind of project versus just taking another quiz over again. As far as my availability, first thing in the morning is my easiest one. I'm available by email. I check that throughout the day and in the evening. So if you need to get a hold of me, email would be the best way.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Walsh? Then let's transition to art.
Hi, Jean Eilenfeld, and I teach art at Father Alloway, kindergarten through 8th grade. So this year I'm going to be at the Resurrection campus for the first half of the year, and then I'll be at the St. Matthew Elementary campus the second half of the year. So right now, like 5th through 8th graders are having their visual art experience, and I see them several times a week for the first half of the year. So what that will look like on report cards is they'll have a grade at the end of the first trimester for art, and then they'll have a final grade for art at the end of the second trimester report card, and then they will not have a grade for the third trimester report card. The best way to reach me is through email, and because I'm in class, and then I can respond to that as soon as possible. So art looks a little different this year because the kids aren't coming to the art room like the other teachers. I'm on a cart, and I'm going to their classroom, and we can't share a lot of the supplies. And I did ask that each family get like a plastic tote with some basic art supplies in it. And I thank you for doing that. This is at their spot and at their desk, and it's their supplies that they are using. They don't share with anyone else, and they have what they need. So thank you for doing that. I know that was more. I do have a Art Google Classroom set up for each grade. And in addition to the artwork that we would do in class, they will have some assignments in there also. I also post the directions for the different projects that we're working on and information about the projects and maybe examples and some artists' work as examples. And so we will be just continuing to develop our art ideas, original thought, continuing to develop our art skills and our art criticism skills, which is really looking at art, learning how to discuss it and write about art, and some art history and about some artists too. So It's good to see you all, and I look forward to the year, and we're off to a good start, and I hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Any questions for Art? Then Mr. Forbes, band.
Hello, I'm Chris Forbes. This is instrumental music as different from band because typically, of course, band means a group that gets together for a common cause. We are not really doing that right now. We have to observe an abundance of caution, of course, when it comes to instruments. And that at this point in time, my focus is on making sure that I have the research because it's developing, it's constantly developing about what is the best practice to keep students safe. It won't be in a large ensemble. So once again, this is instrumental music. So to kind of, I suppose, focus down on what it is that the expectation would be, it would always be if you're going to be instrumental music or band, practice is always going to be a significant part of that. Of course, I'm talking about at-home practice. We only get together for 30 minutes a week. Even if we were playing, that wouldn't be enough to develop skills. What's different this time around, we experienced in the springtime that we were able to maintain our program because of the technology we already had established, and in particular with the Smart Music program. We're going to maintain that. I'm starting over with a new book, and that book is going to, so since it's online, I will be asking the beginners to purchase the book, but it is possible that the other students would be able to do, if they're practicing with Smart Music, everything online. And that this, if you're not familiar with the Smart Music, it's going to listen to, assess, record, and grade those students. So it's an objective approach that is also very successful. Those programs that utilize Smart Music discover, especially in the areas of sight reading and performance. If you ever had to, let's say, put together a video like we're doing right now, it's like take one, take two. Well, after you work with Smart Music over a period of time, you discover that you get better and better at performing. And so those skills can not only maintain but improve during this time that we're not having in-class ensemble rehearsals. The virtual tour video that I just put together yesterday, as a matter of fact, I encourage you to take a look at to see what the facilities are like. It also speaks a little bit to how I'm approaching safety. And then also a little bit on technology. There's also a document that's going to be available, or I think it is currently available on the website under the news newsletters, and I think it's from right now. It's currently under 9.3 newsletter. That's details a lot of the studies that I'm looking at and the technology and links for you to go to so that you can see more about what Smart Music is about and the actual book, the physical book that we're going to be working in. We'll be grading based upon, of course, what happens with their skill development in Smart Music, as well as, of course, their attendance during the class sessions. The class session, the once a week, 30 minutes a week that I see them, is going to be without instruments. It's going to be focused on the technology so that they understand better how to use that technology. And then lessons that would be probably, if I'm going by past 2 years, on a Tuesday, but a Monday or a Tuesday for students to come in and in this safe environment, no more than 4 people allowed in that area, the lesson area. In that space of time, also, I'll be checking to see if they're fundamentally approaching the instrument correctly. I have to be prepared, we all have to be prepared for at any moment everything being virtual. And so I feel very good about saying that they'll be able to do not only improve their skill developments through the technology, but if we have to, we can have Google Meets and we can have private sessions during that as well. So as long as the student maintains the practice and keeps their skills developed, we can plug back into a normal format, getting together, having concerts, that type of thing in a fairly quick fashion. And I would be excited to do that, be honest, because we didn't have our spring concert. I'm sure that the existing members right now, they would probably be able to say, yeah, we can play this song and we can play this song in fairly quick order because they had already worked it up. And you never heard that music. So again, I encourage you to watch not only the video, but to check out the links and to email me with any questions you may have. But you might have some questions right now. So does anyone have any questions of me at this point?
In the chat, someone asked, do they have what they need to practice now?
It depends on if they have their own individual instrument. If they do, as a matter of fact, starting as of next week, one of the things I'm working on right now is to renew the subscription for Smart Music, and the students will be able to do something a little bit different than before, at least in theory, is that the subscription that they will have will be a free subscription. Because it's a free subscription, even if they're not technically in the class, they still can explore it. And for that matter, they could even take the free membership in Smart Music on their own. So the answer to the question is, if they have their own instrument, they certainly can. And if they had the subscription from last year, which is up on October 3rd, they could be practicing right now. They could do what they need. In terms of setting up the actual curriculum, how it works in Smart Music, I have to, again, shift gears on that. And when I do, that is going to be something I'm going to have to detail out. I have to understand how it changes. Right now, to be frank, Smart Music people, whenever I try to contact them, they give you a message both on the phone and otherwise saying it might take us a while to get back to you because they are swamped, as you can imagine. With everyone going virtual right now, Smart Music is kind of a hot item. And so that is at the top of my priority list right now, is that by the time I hit next Wednesday, that I have students, we're working on the technology of Smart Music if they have an instrument at home that they can launch right in and start practicing right now if they want to.
Okay, Chris, a question is, do we re-sign up for Smart Music? Will there be a code?
Yes, and that's what I'm working towards. Again, I'm trying to get that communication from Smart Music, but even as of today, as a matter of fact, it was one of my missions to try to get my teacher subscription up so that it would generate a code that I can share.
But they have access to last year's subscription until October 3rd, correct?
Yes, should.
Yes, they should have. So they can still be using last year's subscription, and hopefully by October 3rd, we'll have the new information so that they can just continue to carry on.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone? Then I'll have a question for you. What are your children saying about school? Do they come home with suggestions or things that they would like to be different, or what? I guess I'm just looking for feedback on what they're saying, because it is certainly a different year, but they seem to be in good spirits. Like they are taking this whole thing in stride pretty much.
Yep, that's all the feedback that we've had. They're just excited to be there, and you'd think you'd hear stuff about the masks, but I don't think they care because they're just happy to be there. And yeah, and I just picked the girls up from volleyball, and it's great for them to be able to do that, and they don't care if they have masks on during that. So I think it's going smoothly. So kudos to everybody. I know I welcomed Miss Tatinsky earlier, but kudos to everybody. I think everybody's doing a great job from what we hear. So
I will say from early childhood through 8th grade, I just am wowed by our students. They have adapted to the masks wonderfully. I thought it was going to be a lot tougher to get kiddos to comply, and they are great with them. So pat them on the back, tell them they're doing a great job, because I thought it was going to be a challenge, and it really isn't. Anything from anybody else? Well, if not, thank you for coming.
Hey, Sorry, I was just letting everybody else if they had questions. But is McKenna going to be on for a religion update, or do you have an update, or how often are they kind of getting religion, and
Okay.
what's the schedule like? And all that fun stuff?
I thought that McKenna was going to have a video, and perhaps she'll have one by tomorrow to upload. She works another job, and I think she had to work tonight, so she was unable to be with us. But we have added an extra religion class this year. Last year, they were having religion class on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. This year, they have religion class on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And on either Monday or Tuesday, they're having an extra religion class. So she's taking, so there's one day during the week where they're actually having religion twice. McKenna only works with us part-time. So she's with us all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and a half a day on Wednesday. And that's why we had to sneak the fourth religion class in on Monday or Tuesday. So kids are getting it twice. But she's taking a totally different focus when she does that second religion class. 7th and 8th graders, a little bit later in the year, will start with theology of the body. So that is where she will teach that concept. And she's doing a lot with service, that's where she'll do her service learning and different approaches like that. So they are getting 42 minutes more religion class this year than they did last year, and we're glad that we could fit that in. So with church, they're getting religion instruction, because the homily is always religion instruction as well, and worship 5 days a week. So we're glad we could add that to the curriculum. And somebody asked earlier about volunteer hours, which are always a part of our religion curriculum, or service hours that we encourage kids to do. But we are not doing that this year just because we don't want to promote kids going out in the community. Unfortunately, going out in the community and, having that kind of contact. So we're going to try to figure something out within the building to make that an active and alive part of their faith formation.
Okay, this is Janet Bonkowski. Could I throw a question out?
Yes.
All right, great. So a comment is that I think it seems like you're absolutely right. The kids are resilient. They're doing really well. It's, they're happy. I think that so thank you for everything that everyone is doing to make that happen. One thought is that as we get into, as we're into our stride, what we really see happening now is, because of the virtual environment, because of the on-site environment, you've got two schools, right? Almost two school communities being developed. And I'm wondering if there's any thought that could be given to finding ways for the virtual and the online classroom kids to still get together, to connect somehow. So, so for example, Max in 8th grade, he's got former classmates who are doing virtual now. They're still his classmates.
Sure.
They still talked about earlier, and they still are part of the, they're still part of Father Alloway. They still belong to. So how can we bridge that connection from time to time? I'm not saying every day, of course, but maybe we can look at bridging that and having virtual ways to connect those kids. I think that they'd like to see each other.
Yep. One thing is our masses are always live streamed. So we invite our virtual kids to go to mass with us every week. We also tape it and post it if it was in today's communication. So that is one thing that we are doing. I really need to probably explore what the virtual schedule is to see if we could meld any common times together. So that definitely is something that we can take a look at. We can maybe even, develop activities that we could do just to do a community builder. And that might not be the worst idea for McKenna to take on during that extra religion class, if we could maybe work it at that time, to build the community, be with their community of faith and do some friendship building activities and things like that. So thank you, Janet. That's a great idea. I will explore the possibility of seeing if we can do some live classes together with our virtual kiddos.
Great, thanks, Kate. And I was thinking more along the lines of activities and the community building thing, just because the community building aspect, because when all of this is done and we're back to whatever normal looks like, there'll be a class, there'll be together again. So
right,
yeah. So thank you.
Okay.
Eloise is enjoying school and seems happy. I would say for her too, it's the mask thing that at the beginning was kind of got long, especially because it was hot, but she's doing fine with it and just seems happy about being there and enjoying all the learning.
Good. Thank you. Anything else from anybody? Well, thank you all for giving us some of your time tonight. We appreciate it. Any other questions you have, feel free to forward them to us, and have a good rest of your evening. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.